I joined as an 88 Mike, that's a truck driver, and I joined the Illinois National Guard thinking I'd be sandbagging the Mississippi River. That was what I talked to my recruiter about. That's what I was pretty motivated to do. And I didn't really get the hint, I guess, that was in my face when I went to basic training, and I yelled, kill! A lot. January of 2003, I was a junior at the University of Illinois, about to wrap up my my studies there, and I got a call. It was a Wednesday night. It was from my platoon sergeant. It said, "Hey, Specialist Hughes, I got some good news for you. We're getting deployed. You got to report in 72 hours." I had to be there by 0700 on Friday morning. So I dropped my stuff. I went to the dean's office, dropped out of school, and went to my unit. Fortunately, my unit, as a trucking unit in Illinois, from the city of Chicago, we were kind of neglected as a unit because we were the only or the most racially diverse unit in Illinois for transportation. The rest of the units were in these smaller communities where the majority was a lot predominantly white, and because of that, our unit had the worst equipment in the Illinois Army National Guard, and at the same time we had the worst equipment. We were the first to get mobilized. I find that pretty ironic that we went over, and the Illinois National Guard actually told us, well, you guys are going over there with this equipment because we want new equipment. We drove up to Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, where we got mobbed out of, which is actually around here, and on this 4-hour trip from Chicago, or mission from Chicago to Fort McCoy, we had approximately 12 trucks break down over that mission. It took us over 48 hours to get all our trucks into Fort McCoy. So that's what we were about to get deployed with. So just so you guys have a little understanding of the equipment we were going over there with. We spent the next 2.5 months. We actually stole equipment from other units. Other units tried to steal equipment from us to prepare to mobilize. We got over to Kuwait in April, shortly after President Bush had announced that the mission was complete. So actually at that moment, I was kind of excited. I thought we were going to be providing humanitarian relief. I'm going to talk about a couple things. One, I'm going to talk about the mission. One, our mission was completely unclear and changed multiple times. We originally started underneath the theater operations, and we were actually tasked out at many times underneath corporations. To move their trucks and to haul their supplies, things that they had been paid to do. They didn't have enough hired employees and third country nationals to do their jobs, so we ended up doing it for them. And you get to the border, and there's a camp there called Camp Navistar, and that's where you lock and load and you put in your flak vests. Unfortunately, at this time, we didn't have plates for our flak vests throughout most of our deployments, so they were pretty much useless. We put them on anyways. We'd lock and load. I carried an M249 squad automatic weapon. That's a fully automatic weapon. It carries approximately 200 rounds of ammunition, and you can empty the whole 200 rounds in approximately 40 seconds or less. So that's the type of weapon I was carrying, and you'd lock and load, and we'd approach the border. And, in these convoy briefings, they'd say, your objective is to get this supplies from point A to point B, and that's the most important thing that you're doing here. And you don't want to stop because you don't know what's going to happen if you do stop. So our mission is to keep moving no matter what. And in these small towns, people may try and jump on your trucks. Just keep driving. That's the only way. That we're not, the infantry, we're not designed to chase after individuals. We're designed to avoid contact and get our equipment from point A to point B. You come up to the border, and at the border there's a big concrete barrier. And on this concrete barrier, it's spray painted. And it says, 1,000 meters. And it has a little M after it. Beware of children in roadway. Like they're deer. And that's kind of how it was. That's kind of how they were considered. I never once called an Iraqi an Iraqi. I called them Hajis the whole entire time. And when you cross the border, immediately there are kids that some of them don't stand higher than this table right here in front of me that are out there, and they've been under sanctions for over 10 years now, and they're in southern Iraq, and they're starving. And here we're coming in with all this equipment, with this supplies, and we're liberating this country, and supposedly, quote unquote, and not once do we have orders to distribute food to these children. In fact, there were convoys that they jumped on people's trucks. They ripped supplies out of the trucks. There was times that they would actually, there was a convoy I was on passing back through Navistar, or through that small town right across the border, and I had seen where a young boy had been run over by a convoy. Because their lives don't matter. Your mission is what matters. It's about how well you perform your mission. So I'm going to talk about rules of engagement for a second. We never were once given a briefing on rules of engagement. Never once. So rules of engagement are what determines how much force can be used in the situation that you're in. After running missions for quite a few months, I imagine it was the end of the summer of 2003, a couple of the convoys had gotten attacked by small arms fire, by AK-47s. This was before IEDs was a common thing. And we were told that if you saw anyone with a AK-47 to engage them and to keep driving. We were in Al-Najaf, and we were broken down. We were getting an MP escort because we were driving down MSR Jackson, which was considered to be pretty hot at the time. We were broke down on the side of the road in Al-Najaf, and I was pulling rear security. And this is the last orders I had been giving is anytime you see someone with an AK-47, you immediately engage them. I was covering the road, and these two men walked up behind me. They were no less than 10 meters behind me, and one of them had an AK-47, and I swung around with my M249, and I looked this man straight in the face, and I flipped my M249 on the fire. And the man didn't flinch, he didn't move, he just looked at me. It turns out he was he was an Iraqi police officer. It was before they had uniforms. I didn't kill him. I didn't shoot him. Just for the record, I want that to be clear. But I mean, it changed that moment, looking at that man in the eye just like that. So my unit was originally going over 6 months. We had 6-month orders, then we got extended to 9 months, then 12 months, then 15 months. After we had been there for over a year, we were cleaning our trucks, and we were informed, the colonel came down and said we had to go back on mission. And unfortunately, a lot of our supplies had already been connexed and shipped back home, so we didn't have the correct equipment to sync our SINGARs, which are the radios you use in Iraq, to the rest of the theater. And we were hauling the supplies for the Marines that were about to do the invasion in Fallujah. And they got hit with an IED, and we ended up waiting there for 2 hours, and we couldn't do anything while these guys bled. I don't know if they died. I don't know if the 2 Marines died, but we just waited. We couldn't do anything. We didn't have any medics or anything with us. And we couldn't call for help. And it was 2 hours before we got a medevac. So that's the type of situation that's pretty standard over there. You know, what I think that people are talking about here is how uncomfortable and how wrong this whole operation in Iraq is. And we come home knowing that. And there's no way to be comfortable walking the streets, when you know that, when you really know it in your heart, and you carry that guilt. And there's people that everybody's walking around every day, and our country is all about comfort. It's all about making sure that everything is comfortable. And that's why this disconnect gets amplified. And that's why we're out here trying to remind people of how uncomfortable this is, and that we need to stand up and voice our opinions and voice our experiences and come together. So I'm proud to be a part of IVAW, and thank you.